All right, folks, so here's part two. We're going to do a little drawing together of a creature, and your homework assignment is going to be to color that creature using all four of these techniques we practiced in part one. So do the best you can do, follow along with the video, and if you want to make some changes on your creature, if you want to draw, different background features, you are more than welcome to. But I would like you to follow along with me and at least get the basic shapes. So we're going to draw an underwater creature. It's definitely not super realistic, but it's a picture I've been using for years kind of as my example for this. So we're going to use this whole space. Let me kind of zoom down a little bit so you can see. We're going to use this whole left side of our paper as our canvas. So somewhere about right over here, let's sketch out a circle together. Remember, think about our drawing techniques, nice and light. And it doesn't have to be that big. You guys kind of just have to be the judge of it. But don't worry about cleaning it up. Keep it nice and rough, nice and loose right now. I'll zoom in a little bit. Okay? And remember, pause and rewind as much as you need to. So over here, let's sketch out a little oval now. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay? And now, let's connect the top of the oval to the top of the circle, but not a straight line. Let's kind of draw it, kind of curves down and then up. See how it kind of dips down below there? And let's do the same thing down here. Kind of looks like a hot air balloon. Down and then up. Remember, it's what we've been learning the past couple weeks. Simple shapes, sketch lightly, we can clean up everything at the end. Now, let's really quick, let's erase this line right in here. We don't need it anymore. We want to kind of connect those two shapes together. Okay. Now, let's draw the body of our creature. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So just kind of watch this shape. I'm going to put my pencil up here on the outside of the head. And I want you to, don't draw this, but just think about this. The body of this creature is going to be like a number 3. So the top of the head is the top of the number 3, and then it's going to come, watch this line I'm going to draw. It's going to come down, in, zoom in just a little bit more for you, and then back out, and then it's going to curve up like that. See how it kind of looks like a number 3? So sketch that line out. And then to make the body, we'll do the same exact thing, but we'll start over here a little bit more. We'll kind of come down, make it a little bit wider right here, and then have it connect to the end of the tail. If you haven't guessed by now, we're making a seahorse. And it's just such a cool creature. Now, we have a couple things to add. We're going to add some scales, a fin, and a few other things on the head. So really quickly, keep it nice and loose. Don't worry about making it perfect, but let's talk about the scales right now. So a couple of ways you could add scales onto this creature. Number one, this is kind of cool. You can just simply take your pencil right here and just kind of draw another line like this. This is the easy way. I'm going to show you 2 different ways. And wherever you want the scales to end, just have that line meet, the front right here. And then you can just draw, look at that, just simple little lines to give your seahorse some scales and draw those lines all the way down. And that's one way you could do that. But I want to show you guys another way to make scales a little bit more interesting. So watch this. I'm actually going to erase this line right here very lightly. Like that. And then I'm just going to draw from right underneath the head little triangles. And then each one is going to start underneath the one on top of it. So it kind of goes down, over, up. Down, over, up. And it kind of makes it look more dragon-like, I think. And then as you get closer to the tail, you can make them smaller and eventually stop. But that kind of looks pretty cool, I think. So you decide, how you want to make scales. That's fine. I'm actually going to erase this number 3 now. A couple other things. Let's talk about adding a fin. So right over here, I'm just going to quickly sketch out a kind of a triangle shape. I'm not going to add any details in it yet. I'll let you guys figure that out. But there's my fin. Maybe it's transparent because it's very thin and you can see the body through it. Or maybe you're going to erase that line right there. And then you can add an eye. You know, if maybe you want a fun cartoon circle eye. Maybe you want to make a kind of a more menacing eye, kind of like a dragon. Either or, it's your call. And then you can also add, you know, if you want to add some spikes on its head. If you want to add some, you know, polka dots on its body or some patterns on its back, it's your creature. So what I want you to do now is once you've kind of drawn out these shapes, clean it up. Take a couple of minutes. And so what I mean by that is anywhere that it's really sketchy, like up here, let me zoom out just a little bit more. Basically, I'm just going to erase this seahorse and redraw it piece by piece. So just erase a little chunk right there and just kind of clean it up. So go ahead and do that for a couple of minutes. Kind of clean your picture up. Keep it nice and light though, because we're going to do some coloring. All right. So it looks much nicer. Now, let's add a couple of features to our picture. So the first thing I want you to add is something called a horizon line. And basically behind your seahorse somewhere, I want you to draw a line. It doesn't have to be straight. It could be kind of wavy because it's underwater. But basically what that line does is it puts our sea creature in a three-dimensional space. So everything below this line is the ocean floor. It could be sand, it could be full of seaweed, seashells, and then everything above is the ocean itself. So what I want you to do is I want you to create a little scene happening here. You know, maybe you want to draw some big pieces of seaweed. And this is just Mr. Erdman's interpretation of what seaweed could look like. You know, you could draw little seashells in the sand. Or starfish. You know, you could add, you know, clumps of sand in the background. You know, you could put bubbles in the water. You know, you could draw little fish swimming by, or a shark, or Pokemon. Doesn't matter to me. This kind of looks like a Pokemon a little bit. But here's what you're going to do now. You're going to color this whole picture of the seahorse using all four of these colored pencil techniques. So it doesn't matter to me how you do this, but I want to see these four techniques. So watch the next video for a couple of ways you can apply each of these techniques to your seahorse.